Okay, so I'm going to share some observations from day one of what I consider the real body work on the Coupe. So I'll take you through a little bit of what I've done already up to this point, prior to today, and then today, and really focusing on um, the mold lines, the parting lines on the car, so you can see kind of what they look like today. And I will then film it after I've had a chance to kind of dig into some of those and clear out any voids and fill them and stuff like that. So stay tuned for updates along the way. So let me turn this around, and here's the car. A lot of dust. So you got to be a fan of salmon dust, I guess, to take on this kind of project. So what's happened prior to this was initial fitment of the hood and the doors. I did some rough gapping when I fitted on here, and then when I did the formal windows, I focused more on the doors and got the gapping a lot closer to where it needs to be. I won't have to change the fitment of the door relative to the body, I don't think. I do have to make some adjustments to the gaps along the side here, and then especially along the bottom. And there'll be some body work that has to happen in here, trying to just to get everything to line up right, and need to do some gapping in here too. I did add some HSRF down below here and on the other side just to get those evened out. And then I went to the car with an orbital sander and where I could, and then hand sander in a lot of the other places. And it's just tough with these complex curves that are on here. You can't do it with a big orbital sander, because you'll burn through parts of the glass and the finish that you really don't want to burn through. So here's the other side. Kind of got the gap where I need it. The HRF is the kind of the blue colored stuff that's in there. And then again, I got to do the gap along here. Got to do a little bit of gapping on the doors. But again, with a focus on the parting lines. Let me turn on my other light over here. I did, after I sanded them, I did kind of clean them off with some wax and grease remover. But just wanted to get some close-ups so you can see. They're not terrible, but there's certainly some spots in here, that need to be ground out. In a lot of the areas on the body, it seems like the glass kind of comes up to the surface here. So not as much work as it was on that Mark III Roadster. And then I haven't sanded any of this yet, other than when I just took off the razor sharp edges when I put it on the road a year or so ago. Yeah, not terrible, not a lot of bubbles up here. There were some on the hood. This area is kind of a mess, but with the new windows going in, there'll be a lot less to deal with. So by putting those windows in, I'm probably saving myself 20 hours of body work. Again, not terrible. When I say terrible, I'm kind of worried about voids that are kind of hiding in the glass. Now, there are certainly voids in the edges of the glass that seem to pop up now and then when I'm sanding. I just hope I get them all, before I paint it, right? This is kind of a mess over here, this whole side. I don't know if this is typical on these cars or not, but again, not a lot of bubbles in there, but it's not well aligned. Hood's a different story. A lot more bubbles in the hood. And then here's kind of the rear window here. I think I did that one myself, but you know, there's these bubbles pop up at all these little corners and edges, so you almost got to go around and tap with a screwdriver or something just to make sure you find them all, so that you can fill them, right? Like I tell people, when you're doing, if you tape in the windows for temporary use, I believe, well, I consider it a requirement to get the red tape. Looks a lot better. When someone came up to me, they were asking about that. And I said, well, I just taped it in, it's temporary. They were like, oh, I thought it was some kind of race car thing. And I'm like, all right, man, like maybe it is. I guess in my case, sure. So here, not too bad, you know, a little bit of slop in there, right? You know, some stuff in there, not too bad, but get down here, you got some kind of nasty misalignment and stuff, but whatever. A lot of little bubbles on this one up in the front here. You know, but when I look at this, where the glass comes all the way up to the surface, compared to the Mark III, you know, I had to grind down to get to the glass to make it appear. And here it's, you know, it's come all the way up. You know, some bubbles and crap in there that need to be cleared out. But, you know, the other car, again, I had to grind through like a lot of gel coat just to get to the glass. Here the glass comes all the way up. So I think that's better. Feels better to me. You know, there's some crap there. And again, that's kind of stuff you want to make sure you just find it, right? So once I hit it with the grinder, we'll see what really lurks beneath. But I don't know. Doesn't look terrible, I guess. Could be worse. I've seen worse. Anyway, that's where things stand today. A lot of dust. Refreshment, treating myself. You know, I'm going to use this paint booth for all the body work just to contain the dust and keep it out of the shop, right? But I guess we'll have to decide later if I'm able to clean it well enough to reuse it as a paint booth, or if I need to buy another one or something. But we'll see. We'll see. I've kind of made a mess of it with, you know, painting stuff along the edges and stuff like that. And then, you know, it all flakes off, right? Anyway, a lot of dust. All right, stay tuned.